In view of Mandela Day, there's been a lot of talk about the children, and there's a group, Save the Children, the world's leading independent organization for children, who work in a whole bunch of countries fighting for the rights for children and helping them fulfill their potential. We're chatting now to Madhuri Das on the line. Good morning, Madhuri.
Good morning.
Great to have you on and chat to you about this. And I read that apparently the South African ranking on Save the Children's Global Development Index has actually fallen. Why is this?
Yes, you're right. It's fallen about 24 places. And the reason this has happened is because South Africa isn't making fast enough progress. And other countries around us have actually overtaken us.
Okay. And now what can they do about this drop? What can they do to change that?
Well, I mean, I think firstly it would be important to understand what the factors are that have contributed to this drop. And if you look closely at those, the story is that there's many indicators on which we haven't moved fast enough in the last decade. And to illustrate, let me just say the under 5 mortality rates for South Africa have either dipped or stayed the same. And if you look at the statistics, it's 60 per 1,000 live births in 1990 and only 57 per 1,000 live births in 2010, so not much change there. You look at the proportion of underweight children below 5, that's remained at about 9% in the last decade. Similarly, primary school enrollment is also only 9%. Exclusive breastfeeding, I mean, that's one of the contributing factors. It's just 8%, it's one of the lowest in the world. I mean, even our neighboring country, Swaziland, is 44%. So if you look at the picture, that's the reason why we haven't moved. And we've dropped 24 places. Now, to answer your question about what should be done about the drop in rankings, you've got to look at all of the causes of child deprivation in this country and really tackle all of them. So whether it's poverty, inequality, the lack of access to good services, making sure we cut rates of malnutrition, tackle HIV and AIDS. There's about 2 million children now with it, impacted by this, who are either orphaned or things like that. So those are the areas that we have to tackle in order to be able to move quickly along up.
Yeah, and obviously there are different sort of issues in different countries, and maybe do you think the problem is that in some countries some of the issues are easier to overcome and tackle than, for instance, in other countries, and that is why we've dropped?
I wouldn't say that's the case because look at Tanzania, for instance. Now, that's a traditionally much country that's much poorer than us. They've made vast improvements. They've gone up 30 places in the ranking. Now, if you look at the absolute scores, it's probably South Africa, the richer nation, is doing better. But the fact that they've done that well in the last 10 years is because they've done two remarkable things. Now, for instance, they've more than halved their child mortality in the last decade. And they have almost halved the proportion of underweight children. Now, that's the sort of progress that we need to do. And South Africa, I mean, it's one of the richest country on the continent.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we do need to treat our children.
Yeah. And as Save the Children, what is your role in changing the reality for poor children in South Africa?
Well, Save the Children has been working in South Africa for about 60 years. And what we do is work to protect children's rights. And we have programs in education protection, HIV, etc. And the idea is to restore children's rights where they're being violated and then to connect them to resources within the community and the state to ensure that then they can continue to thrive and develop. Now, while we do have some programs on the ground through partnerships, etc., these are mainly to show how things can be done and to demonstrate impact. But what we also do in addition to that, which is why I'm here talking to you on the show today, is to encourage civil society, to encourage partners, to encourage government and everyone to adopt methods that work and to really look at things when they're not working and look at how we can make them work.
Yeah. And Madhuri, you were recently appointed to the board of Save the Children. What is your motivation to do this work that you do?
I'm not on the board of Save the Children, but just to sort of let you know, my motivation, I'm from India. The reason I work here is because I just think it's an amazing opportunity to be sort of, in a country where there's so much potential. I mean, in the last little while, every time I read the newspapers, I look at South Africa and how well it's doing. I mean, we've we've sort of really created more employment, infrastructure, healthcare, education, all of that than we've ever done before in South Africa. So, South Africa is growing and it's on the upward and onward. And I think the time is right now to make sure that we don't leave any child behind. There's really so much to be done. And I'm hoping that by being here in South Africa, I can make a difference.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your dedication, and thanks for chatting to us this morning. Madhuri Das, have a good day. I know you're a busy lady.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Madhuri Das, talking about Save the Children and the fact that we've dropped on that index. And she's come over here to do work for us in South Africa all the way from India. So that's fantastic stuff.